we heard from several people in our audience who had questions about education.
Yeah.
Judith specifically wanted to know about your plans for schools. So do you believe that schools in Michigan have the resources they need to succeed to serve all students, including those with special needs? And do you think that schools are funded equitably?
Let me address the funding aspect. Yes, I do. But I tell you what, for the folks that think we're not funded adequately, I've actually got a way to go off and approach that problem in a way that gets to my core philosophy on education, is that education should not be managed centrally from the federal government or by the state government. It should be focused on the parents, the teachers, and the students. And what I mean by that is getting rid of this onerous testing that's happening, statewide testing. When I grew up, we didn't have something called the MEEP. We didn't have a statewide assessment. We would take the Iowa test and we'd take the California test to get some sort of a national benchmark as to where we were headed, but we didn't need a statewide assessment. And that's part of where this micromanagement comes from. Education, as somebody who served on the Senate Education Policy Committee and also served on the school board for the Canton Charter Academy as treasurer, I understand how education works in the state. And essentially, you have a 5-layer cake in education. You got the standards bone connected to the assessment bone, connected to the curriculum bone, and then lesson plans and course materials. The bottom 3 have historically always been in the domain of the local school districts, yet we've been trying to take over more and more with the state level and the federal level up at the standards and assessment level, which drives what the curriculum is. I want to knock that off and actually get back to that local control of the teachers and the parents in the classroom. That's one of the reasons I'm also a big advocate for school choice. And so if you have all the local options, well, you got to give those students and those parents some options so that if they're not getting their needs met, maybe they've got a special needs student that they want to take somewhere where they're going to get a IEP that actually is followed through on. Maybe they should have the ability to go off and be portable with those funds to go off and get their student the proper education. That's why I implemented what I call the Enhanced Michigan Education Savings Program plan. It's like an education savings account. And what it does is expands the current provisions of the Michigan Education Savings Program into K through 12 services, as well as postgraduate services. So if I want to go into skilled trades, if I want to go off and have a professional development change or a professional development courses or a career change later on, it incentivizes education as a lifelong endeavor. And the beautiful thing about these student-specific accounts is that it opens the doors for third-party funding of student-specific accounts and student-specific educational needs. So, for example, in Detroit, we've got Cornerstone and Cristo Rey schools that are private schools. They don't benefit from this program at all, but they were used as a model for how this could work for public schools. They'll have work-study programs in high school where third-party companies will come up and partner with a student and say, in exchange for you working 5 days a month in my business, getting valuable experience, I'll put in $7,000 a year towards your education. Now that, if you were to apply that into the public school realm and open the doors for these partnerships to provide student-specific accounts that they could put this funding towards, that opens the door to almost a 50% increase in foundation allowance. The big rub of this, and why I've gotten some opposition from the AFT of Michigan, was that the parents are the ones in control where that funding goes. It's not the education bureaucracy. So there are paths to get more funding if you want them, but the key is to put the control back into the hands of the customers of education, which are the parents and students. And but bottom line is, I want to go to pure local control, and it doesn't get more local than the parents being in charge of where that money goes. We definitely need to get the state and the feds out of it. And I'm a big proponent of eliminating Common Core standards and taking some hits for proposing that. But the more you learn about it, the more that drives everything that's going down at the local level in that 5-layer cake. And it's something that we actually lose some of that local control with that standard philosophy.